Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I am Prakash Zog. We started our discussion about Buddhism. Today, I'll be talking on three major teachings of Gautam Buddha. After acquiring Bodhi, that is true complete knowledge, his first sermon was at Sarnath in the Rushi Patana Murugadai Park. It was attended by 5 who later became his disciples. Then, till the end, that is 45 years later, all his teachings, all his sermons included the teachings of the Aryasatyas and the Ashtangik Marga, the Arya Ashtangik Marga. Arya here is not Aryan race. Its meanings include concepts like universal, permanent, fundamental, ultimate. And the word Satya that is being used means not just the truth, but the facts also. There are, as pointed out by him, 4 Aryasatyas. The first Aryasatya is sorrow is universal. It is a part of samsara. Sorrow here includes grief, pain, suffering. It's more of mental than physical. All living, non-living factors that influence our life are included in samsara, the life cycle. Realize that his personal life experiences are reflected in this first Aryasatya. Everything finally ends in suffering. Pleasures are not permanent, and realization of this leads to suffering also. Contact with things we don't like again leads to suffering. Separation or loss of things that we like also leads to suffering. Unfulfilled desires, they too lead to suffering. Every suffering has an origin or a cause, and that is the second Aryasatya. Every cause has some previous reason. Thus, there is a chain that precedes every cause of sorrow that was known. It was true then, and it is true even today. Think of a person losing a diamond ring. The cause is his carelessness. And the cause of that is that he did not care enough. And the cause of that is that he had got it by a method that was not really all the energy that he had spent. That means there was an ulterior way in which he had collected his wealth, for which there was no outlet officially, so the diamond ring was what was left. And the cause of that was his bad behavior. So you will see that everything is preceded by some previous cause. This is many a times referred to as codependent origination of sorrow. But the original word that Gautam Buddha used was pratitya samutpada. It's pronounced differently in Pali, but I'll stick to the original word. So naturally, Gautam Buddha said that breaking this chain would lead to the end of sorrow, and that finally is nothing but nirvana. And at the root of all this sorrow is a word that he used known as trishna, that is craving or desire. It could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be sexual. Sensory inputs cause desires. If these desires remain unsatisfied, the result is nothing but sorrow. That brings us to the third Aryasatya, that suffering can be prevented. That's what Buddha said. And that gives a ray of hope to all the people around. He provides a way out of all the difficulties of suffering. If the method that he suggests is followed, then nirvana, that is ultimate salvation, can be achieved. Please realize that even he had mentioned that sorrows and sufferings keep cropping up incessantly. There could be so many different reasons, but that's natural for all human beings. Still, the fact that it can be prevented is more important, says Gautam Buddha. And then the fourth Aryasatya. There is a way to remove all this suffering. For this, you must follow what is known as the fourfold path. And that is the solution to the problem. It is known as the Ashtangik Marga, many a times referred to as Arya Ashtangik Marga. It has, Ashtangik means eightfold. So it has 8 rules, and not for the masses, but for the individual. And these rules are really independent of each other and can be put in practice simultaneously. Gautam Buddha himself has given a particular sequence, and sometimes even later there were attempts to realize its subparts, and many a times each of them is split into 4 subparts, making it a total of 32 as referred to by some people. But the more popular concept is that of 8. So these were his prime teachings. But once his disciples increased, there was a need to organize and formalize things. A cadre of disciples with proper rules known as the Sangha was formed. To join this order of monks, or as laymen in Buddhism, to accept Buddhism, a person or a novice had to make 3 pledges. These are known as Triratnas, or 3 gems. Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Saranam is originally Sharanam, and it means take refuge. So what these 3 really mean is, I take refuge in Buddha, and now of course in his teachings. I take refuge in the Sangha, and I take refuge in Dhamma, the religious path. This was to be pledged 3 times in order to join either the Sangha or Buddhism. If a person was not to be a part of the Sangha, he still had to accept the authority and the teachings of the Sangha. He also had to pledge to follow the Pancha Mahavrata. It is also sometimes referred to as Panchasheel. These are 5 commitments that are to be followed permanently. I pledge not to kill animals. That's ahimsa. I will not take what is not given to me, and that is asteya. I shall not lie, and that is to follow Satya. These three, and then Gautam Buddha added two more. I will not indulge in infidelity. And the last one, I shall not consume any intoxicating material. I pledge all this. This was a commitment to be taken by every Buddhist who joined either the Sangha or remained a layman. It's obvious that these seem to have social stability and personal ethical values at the forefront. Realize that the yamas that we know from the Yoga Sutra are similar, and the Panchamahavrat from the Jains are also similar. Buddha, of course, modified the last two of them, as I just mentioned. All these have provided a very strong base for Buddhism. These are the three major aspects related to the beginning of Buddhism: the four Aryasatyas, the Triratnas, the three gems, and the Panchasheel or the Panchamahavrat, something that is to be followed by every Buddhist. But friends, why restrict it to Buddhism? Think of them as guidelines for even individuals like us to realize and follow in life. If you have liked whatever I have said, please like and follow this channel, subscribe to it, tell your friends of these ideals that every individual must know and follow. The next logical step would be to understand the Arya Ashtangik Marg, the eightfold path that would lead to good life. I'll come to that next time. Till then, Namaskar.